About a week ago, I made a few live streams of myself sleeping. I made the first one by mistake, actually. I wanted to record some projects I was doing. Then I fell asleep, and it happened to live stream myself sleeping. And when I thought about how funny it was, I googled the idea of live streaming one sleeping, and I discovered I wasn't the only person to do it. So that was good. Um, and I liked it so much because of all the funny comments I got overnight. Unfortunately, I can't seem to find a way to keep the live chat comments on the video after it gets posted onto my channel. I need to figure out how to do that. If anybody knows, please, please, please leave a comment. I am still trying to figure out how to do that. But I want to say, aside from streaming myself sleeping, there's another reason I love to sleep, and unfortunately, this reason doesn't get recorded into the videos. I wish it could. Sometimes when I'm sleeping, I dream about various solutions to my everyday life. My favorite example was years ago when I was first learning about neural networks and machine learning concept. I had a hard time getting it into my head. And one night I went to sleep. And in my dream, I dreamed that I was flying in a spaceship on Jupiter, and we were looking for life on Jupiter. And this high-speed camera was taking lots of pictures of Jupiter and feeding it into a neural network to look for life. And as we were flying around Jupiter, I heard an alarm sound. And when I looked outside the spaceship, there was a cloud formation that looked like a human face. And so the alarm had sounded, and I looked at how the pixels were flowing into the neural network and how it was learning something, and it was a false alarm, so I had to push a button to say it was a false alarm. And then now, instead of learning true, it was learning false, and the false had to feed backwards into the neural network. And I saw all the adjustments and all that, and all of a sudden it all made sense to me. And when I woke up, I wrote my very first neural network for the game of tic-tac-toe, just as an experiment to see how it would do. And before, I think that very same day, I started writing much more complex neural network, maybe not for looking for life on Jupiter, but at least for detecting winning positions on one of the computer games that I was writing, right? Okay. I also pick up some social cues a lot when I go to sleep. So about a year ago, I talked about in other videos I have eating disorder kind of problems. About a year ago, I had dreamed that I was at a Computer Olympiad conference, and my ex-girlfriend was also there, because she's also studying. She also studied computer science. I met her at a conference, actually, and I at the Computer Olympiad conference, she was married now, and she was there with her husband, and we were about to approach the elevator to get to the floor of the conference room. And I get into the elevator first, and I hold the door for the two of them, and my ex-girlfriend looked at her husband and said, "Oh, don't get into the elevator with this guy, he has a disease." And I woke up, and I was sweating, shaking, and I just felt disgusted. And that was one of the impetus to wanting to rethink about my eating habits. I used to have a habit of eating whatever I want, whenever. Right? I would go to the store in the middle of the night to satisfy a food craving. It was getting in between me and my work environment, my social life. I can't tell you how many times I would be at a party, at an event, and then I would wander out and then wander into the streets looking for a store to get to my favorite foods. Probably not very good for my professional life, and I probably missed out on meeting a potential future wife over stuff like that, right? But the dream really cemented it in that I need to stop. People are thinking I have a disease. I took that even though it was only a dream, I took that comment very hard for many months. And then 6 months after the dream, we really did have a problem where people had to avoid getting into elevators with others because of a disease. So that I'm not taking it so hard anymore because nowadays everybody's actually practicing it. But at the time, I took that comment very hard, even though it was a dream. Um, but when I was a kid, when I was 8 years old, I think, we used to have. This was before Walmart. I think it was Kmart. We used to have a Kmart about 6 miles from our home, and I dreamed that one day. At the time, my younger brother hadn't been born yet, so it was just my mom and dad and me, three of us. We had pulled into that Kmart, and all three of us had ran into the store to use the bathroom. It was a major emergency, and I didn't think much of it. It was a silly dream, I was 8 years old. I didn't think much of it. Well, that Saturday we went out to lunch, and on the way home, we stopped at that Kmart and we all rushed in to use the bathroom. It was that time that I realized I often dream things that later happen. Just like I dreamed that people wanted to social distance when they got to the elevator. I dreamed one time that it was the wrong commodity, but I dreamed that silver prices went negative, and I went to the coin shop to rob them of silver. But it was oil that turned negative a few weeks later. So I take my dreams very seriously now, and sometimes they help me problem solve quite a bit. Thanks for watching.